Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me Lynn Whitbeck, and she is known as the queen of joyful sales. Business owners hire Lynn to ignite winning sales because most fail to create consistent, repeatable, and scalable growth. Lynn is the founder and CEO of Petite to Queen. She's an Amazon bestselling author, a speaker, and host of Claim Your Career Crown and Get More Client shows. She loves visiting national parks, cooking, and playing Pokemon Go. Oh my gosh, you'd get along so well with my kids. Welcome to the show, Lynn.
Hey, Jennie, it's such a pleasure to be here. And I'm really excited to, talk sales and have fun. Sales is fun. Sales is service. This is such a great conversation we're going to have.
I agree. And this is something, I was one of the weirdos in my direct sales business who loved selling. I thought it was fantastic. And people were like, well, how, why, right? But I think it all comes from where we started. So how did you get started in the world of sales?
It was back in the days of Girl Scouts and selling cookies. And the first year I was able to sell cookies, moving from a brownie to a Girl Scout, they had this very special badge. And you could only earn the badge if you sold a truckload of cookies. And I do mean a truckload of cookies. And so I was determined to get that badge. I coveted that badge, and so I took my best friend, Judy, and hauled her out the very first day, cookie day, with my little red wagon, and there I was running up to the doors because Judy was so shy and introverted. She would not leave the wagon at the sidewalk, let alone we're trying to draw this wagon with all the cookies. It was like the Leaning Tower of cookies. And so get to the door, some people aren't home, some people don't buy. And at the end of the day, I'm going like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sell all these cookies? And I was singing my tale of woe to my parents. And my dad looked at me and he just asked me one question. And he said, Lynn, where do people buy their cookies? And I went, the grocery store. Next day, we ditched the red wagon. Okay. No more trying to drag the Leaning Tower cookies over the sidewalk. No more worrying if people were home or not. No more worrying if they were going to buy or not. We set up our table right in front of the grocery store. We played to our strengths. Judy was in the back, taking the money, giving them the cookies, and I was out front like the Walmart greeter, drawing them in. And we did that every day. And we did sell a truckload of cookies. We are the only two girls in our state to win that coveted cookie badge, and our district, and the youngest two girls in our state to win it that year. So it was pretty exciting. But what I discovered was that having a proven process that you can repeat, if you love the product or service, you love the organization, so you have a passion for it, then sales is easy, right?
Yeah.
And so that really set that framework. And after graduate school and I went into outside sales, what I really found was that when I approached sales as being a service, this was something I could take off someone's plate. They never had to think about it again. And I took care of them.
Yeah.
And I loved that. Now, it wasn't rocket science. It wasn't world peace, but I made their life a little bit better in corporate America because I took care of something they never had to really think about again. And for me, it filled me up. And it just went on from there, until eventually I was a vice president, global sales development. I was literally being flown all over, including the world, to close multi-million-dollar deals. But it's about when you love the organization, you love your product or service, and you approach sales from how you serve and help others, sales is easy.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. The time when sales was hardest for me was if I was trying to sell to like everyone instead of who my ideal sales client was. So, because you don't know any of my history, why would you? I got into the world of sales. I was in jewelry sales. And what I ended up doing over the course of 7 years was I somehow built this, like, my ideal client ended up being these super successful women in business who also happen to be motorcycle riders.
Oh.
Like, it was a really weird thing that they all seem to have in common. And so I got known in that world of super successful businesswomen who also rode Harleys or other
Yeah.
motorcycles, but mostly Harleys. And then they would just introduce me to their next group of ladies who then introduced me to the next group of ladies. And because we all just had the same, and I think it came down to we all had the same style and
Mhm.
flavor of being
Yeah.
in the world. And
Yeah.
they loved it. And so it really helped when I was selling to those people. Super easy. But if I was talking to someone and they're like, well, I don't like jewelry, I don't wear jewelry. Well, I'm not going to try and sell to you. That's a
Yeah.
waste of my breath and a waste of your time, right?
Yeah.
So, how can somebody set up, the first thing you brought up there was the system of sales. So how does somebody begin to set up their system, or in the case of direct sales and network marketing that I have as the audience here, the Badass Crew, they oftentimes, quote unquote, have a system, putting
Right.
air quotes around that, from their company. So let's talk more about that. Like, what should be included in the system?
Well, there's two different ways to look at a system. I'm really talking about the strategic system. So
Okay.
that's not necessarily the back end tools or the software that you're using. Okay.
Right.
So, the first thing is whatever your product or service is, and in the case of direct marketing, so I'm going to use an example of Pure Haven. So I'm familiar with that product. It has, it's toxin free. So it's got both house cleaners, it's got lotions or topical shampoos, laundry detergent, basically home
Sure.
and body type stuff, right?
Perfect.
So when you're looking at that, so what does that ideal client look like? Well, the first thing is that they're concerned about, their health. So I mean, you're really identifying who are your ideal clients and what's going to resonate with them.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that people really miss is that thinking like their client. And they also project as to who that person is. Oh, they're a tree hugging hippie. Not necessarily, right? Or
Right.
they're a high profile Harley woman,
Right.
So what we have to do is really the people you are selling to. And if it's not you, then who can you piggyback onto and interview their clients? All right. And you ask them a series of questions. You really want to find out, what were they experiencing? What was going on? What was the challenge, the problem, or their goal or their dream? What was the catalyst that drove them to make a decision to make a change or to try something new? And then how did they meet you, decide to start working with you? What was their experience like working with you? Okay, what were the short-term results and what have been the long-term results? Now, when you've done that, what I just did is I marked the whole story arc of the experience of your ideal client. When you do that, and you have to have at least 7 interviews to really get any kind of context to analyze. And today, with the tools that we have, like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever you use, just make sure you've got your settings set so that it's all private, right? It's not being shared out in the ether. But when you have that, you can actually analyze this content much faster. It used to take us, when we would do what I call this a voice of the client, it would take us like 100 hours. I mean, not only did we do the interviews for them, but we devised the script, it shouldn't take more than 30 minutes, right? But we would collect all the data, would analyze it. Oh my gosh. And we're talking spreadsheets,
Right.
So much easier now. And just the other thing, the caveat I'm going to throw in there is you got to watch it like a hawk so it doesn't invent stuff. Okay. It's like,
truth.
Where in a transcript did you find that? Where? Show me where. And, but you got to be really cognizant of that and watching everything. But when you do that, you can really understand your own client, what their emotions and motivations were, what attracted them, what converted them, what were those results, what were the long-term results. And now you've got the love language of your ideal client. And it doesn't matter if you're selling Avon, Mary Kay, Pure Haven, Airborne, whatever it happens. I don't think is that a brand? I don't know.
Yeah.
Park Lane for jewelry,
Yeah.
whatever it happens to be. This is the way that you can really distinguish yourself in your content, because now you're immediately attracting your ideal clients. And so they recognize themselves like, oh, that's me. Yeah. So, and now once you do have your clients and you were doing how do you get additional warm introductions and referrals, right? Because if they love your product and service, they're really happy working with you, then you need to seed the idea of referrals from the very beginning throughout the process and ask for them when you've earned the right. Mm-hmm. Who do you know who'd like to feel so beautiful and so authentic when she's wearing the jewelry like you do yourself, and the work that we've done together to find the right pieces? And then, they'll I can't think of anybody right. Will you do me a favor? Will you, when you think of somebody this afternoon, tomorrow, next week, you run into them at the grocery store? Yeah. Will you pick up the phone right then and there and connect us on a 3-way call? Will you do me that favor? Yeah, of course I will. Now you've actually positioned it because they're going to encounter somebody.
Yeah.
And they're going to think of you and like, oh yeah, I owe Jenny a call so I can tell her about Lynn.
Exactly.
Anyway, I sort of deviated there, but right. So here's that art.
Yeah, no. And I think that's a really important piece, because there's, one of the things I hear a lot in our industry is, I'm having trouble with sales. Well, who's your ideal client? Well, everyone. No. Oh God, if you guys could see me, I just face palmed. Like, no, everyone is not your client. Right. And like I said, when I was, like what I said before, the hardest time that I had in sales was when I was trying to sell to everyone. As soon as I found my niche or niche, I don't care, say it either way, it doesn't hurt my feelings. But once I found that, sales became so easy. Right. And they just did that. And leading into then knowing who your client is, knowing what the story arc is, why did they, pick you? Why did they decide to purchase from you? What has their experience been with you? But now the referral piece is the place where a lot of salespeople drop the ball.
Oh, in corporate sales, multi-million-dollar seller, right? And yet I didn't ask for referrals. I got them. Right. But, and businesses often say, oh, well, we have a referral program. No, they don't. They don't ever train on it. They don't train their team on all the pieces, how to seed it on each stage. Right. And when you've earned the right, how to ask for it, how to ask again, and again, you're not being a pest, you're being persistent, right? Yeah. But in a positive way. But when you are doing, that is a true technique that is a game changer, because warm introductions and direct referrals are the fastest business you will ever close. Oh, because they come with a built-in level of trust, because they came from a trusted resource who told them about you. Yeah. So just like your audience that you sold the jewelry to, well, then you could introduce a new product line to them, right? And then now, because they already trust you, hey, I've got this brand new product line. Now you've got your tribe. Now you can add a new thing for them to purchase. I don't know about you. I hope you stacked it that way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and so many people think that something like jewelry is not consumable, right? But here's the thing, fashion changes.
Your lifestyle changes, and what you like changes. You get a new outfit, or you go like, I used to wear things that were very much more, I was never that corporate straitjacket look ever. Yeah. But there are things that I don't wear. I've literally got donated. It was too formal. Yeah. Don't dress like that anymore. And so, and just over time, things change. Yeah. And you want something new. You want a new piece. You want something that, so I think that, to your point, jewelry is something that maybe they wouldn't buy every month, but they're going to buy on a regular basis. And once you get to know them and who they are, and you see a piece, you're going to think, oh, that's Lynn. I need to tell her about this piece.
And I did. I had clients like that. I really honestly did. I would be sitting at the new line reveal, and I would see something and be like, oh my gosh, that piece, and I'm going to say her name, but not her last name. I will protect the innocent. But I would 100% sit there and be like, oh my gosh, that piece is so perfect for Wendy. That piece is so perfect for her. And I would take a picture of the screen and I would send it to her and be like, girl, look at what they just dropped. And 99 times out of 100, I mean, literally, she would respond back, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. Let me know when you come back from conference. You know, she just knew. But it's because I had, like you said,
Yeah.
earned the right, built the trust, built the relationship through the
Yeah.
course of taking care of her, you know, getting to know what she liked, didn't try to sell her things that didn't fit her style, didn't fit
Right.
her whatever, unless it was a thing that she was buying for her daughter or her friend or what, you know, because I would say, I'm not going to only show you what's good for you, because if you see something and you think it's good for your daughter, so, but I'm not going to try and push hard and sell, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, the hard sale tactics are just so icky. I mean,
Yeah.
and they honestly, they don't work in the long run. You lose clients, you have constant churn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that people don't recognize. When you try to push the sale and you try to use manipulative tactics,
Yeah.
people get a very bad taste in their mouth and they may purchase something, but they won't come back or they won't buy from you long term.
Right. And
And
they will
so,
never refer you.
oh,
If
yeah,
they
I mean,
felt
it just,
pushed.
yeah, yeah. So it just never wins. You are a trusted partner and a consultant and somebody who's going to be a friend. I mean, I became friends with all of my clients. You
Yeah.
know, we didn't necessarily go to barbecues together or anything, but we would be, you know, we'd go to lunch or we'd have personal conversations on a surface level, right? Some I got to be really good friends with. But, you know, and there is a fine line. I'm going to be clear about that. But it depends on what kind of sales you're doing as well. But you want to be on the alert for things that would make sense, that would add value, that they, you know, because that's part of being of service. I just
Mm.
thought of something, you know, this, you might really like this because, you know, da 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 da.
Right. And it also helps if you're maintaining a relationship outside of the sales piece too, you know, because if you're connected with them on social media and you see that X, Y, Z is happening, there's opportunities there to be like, hey, I just noticed that, you know, X, Y, and Z happened. By the way, did you know we have a thing that can help with that? Oh my gosh, I had
Yeah.
no idea that your company had blah, 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 right? There's so many additional options, like you said, to serve
Yeah. Yeah.
in
And
all of
also,
this.
if you're, when you're doing the ongoing connection, so I always recommend people do email because, and your own personal emails, because
Mhm.
the email has a minimum of a 24% engagement rate and can be much higher. The key is not to be hard selling them product. Instead, you're infotaining emails. And so there's all kinds of ways that you can write infotaining emails. And so, and I do this as well because I'm a managing director of eWomen Network, Greater Seattle. And so I write
Okay.
my own emails, and of course the organization sends out emails. My chapter members, they open my emails, they laugh, oh my, I laughed out loud. You know, but it's always around, there's always a promise, a lesson, an anecdote, a story, and then a next step. Now the next step can be something really simple. It's like read the latest blog post. It was great. Or remember that we have a CEO Plus call on Monday. But it's not necessarily trying to, hey, sign up for membership. Or in fact, I never say sign up for membership. I do have ones that they can, a call to action where they can book a call with me and talk about it. Right. But anyway, the whole idea is that you're going to mix up what those call to actions are because you shouldn't be constantly always selling. But find story. Story is everywhere. There are so many great stories about jewelry. I mean, just there are knockdown funny ones about lost jewelry or things like that. And there's touching ones. I still remember there's a Hallmark Christmas movie. I think it was last year's or the year before. And she uses the locket that was her mother's, right? And she's frantic about it, right? Well, then it gets found, right? That special piece of jewelry and this heartwarming story. And in fact, I just wrote an email that talked about when I got a cameo ring as a Christmas gift from my mother that had been in our family. And of course, now continues to be in our family for years.
Mhm.
And so it was like, and it's like people lean into story.
Yeah.
And so, you got to match your style. What makes sense? Mine is sassy, fun, and frothy, you know, but I don't really go into like deep, dark tunnels, but every so often there's more of a serious note to a story. But it's also it has to fit your product and service as well as your own personality. Don't force something. But the thing is, that whole vibe attracts that once again, that your tribe. And you can also share personal things that behind the scenes, like, ooh, wow, I'm taking the Harley out and we're doing Highway 101 on Big Sur.
Yeah.
I'll be sending pictures, right?
Yep.
So, it's
follow me on Facebook to see all of the pictures and videos. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing about I'm going to email, the reason I am talking about that is because it has such a high engagement. Social media at best has a 3% engagement rate.
Yeah.
Facebook is less than 1%. And yeah, you can have an active tribe but it's just what gets into their feed. They literally have to go to your page to look at it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why email, that people have invited you in to be in their email box. And if you're constantly just hitting them, oh, this is on sale, buy this, people tune out. You don't even bother to open them.
Correct.
So you've got to be giving them value. And it could be like, oh, here's a quick tip on how to clean your jewelry.
Yeah.
Don't do this, like cameo rings, you want to use a really soft toothbrush. You can't, because it's a shell, right?
Yeah.
You can't use any kind, and you can use a teeny tiny bead of toothpaste if you had to.
Yeah.
But you have to be really super careful because they can be damaged and scratched, right? You can use diamond cleaner for sapphires and rubies, but nothing else because they're really hard. You know, my wedding ring was a ruby, right? Yeah, it just, well, it says was because my husband has passed, but it's still my wedding ring, right?
Right.
And so, but those are like little tips. You could do all kinds of things about your product or service, and in a creative way to use this product, and so I think that sales is, at the end of the day, it's about relationships, pure and simple. When you build relationships, sales will follow. And you ask for the sale. You do have to ask for the sale from time to time. Okay.
Yeah. And I think people make the asking of the sale
awkward.
They make it awkward. They make it hard in their head. They have a belief that it has to be this pushy, forward, do you want to buy my thing? Right? Which is not the best way to ask for a sale, but it's better than not asking for it. Right?
Yeah.
How would you recommend that people ask for the sale in a way that is more natural?
Instead of awkward? So I use the assumptive either or close. That's one of my go-to favorites. So let's say, this necklace is going to be so perfect for you. Now, do you want the earrings and the bracelet or just the earrings to go with? Now, I just made an assumptive either or close. And she could say, well, no, I'm just going to do the necklace right now. Or she'd say, no, I'm going to get all three pieces. Yeah. You just made the sale because you've already assumed the answer is yes on the necklace. Does she want the earrings or the earrings and the bracelet? Right. So that's a really simple way to do, an assumptive. You're assuming they're going to say yes, and you give them an either or close. No more than two choices. It's either or. Yeah. So you can do that in all kinds of things. Do you want this, delivered next week, or do you want it delivered by Friday this week? Once again, now last time you ordered 2,500. Do you want another 20? Do you want 2,500, or would you rather get 5,000 because it was only 3 months? Now I'm assuming obviously yes, and they just let's go ahead. Let's split the difference and do 3,500. They just bought it, right? So I mean, obviously people aren't going to buy 2,500 necklaces,
right?
But you get the point. I mean, for any kind of product or service, this is how you position it, and it's, let's say you're selling Mary Kay. Okay, so you've got the mascara, and now do you want the eyebrow pencil to go with, or the eyeliner, or both? Do you want the eyeliner or the eyeliner and the eyebrow pencil? So that once again, it's, I want to try to keep it. Don't ever give people more than 3 choices. It becomes overwhelming, especially for men. Women can handle a little bit more, but even for women, it will stop the sales process because there's too many decisions. And they just go, well, I'll have to think about it later. I have to decide. If it's really quick and easy, you want to make it easy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you've got to make it easy for people, because especially if you want to eventually get to the point where they're passing you referrals, Because if they think, wow, that was really hard, they're never going to send their friends and their family to you. But
Yeah.
if you're sitting there going, hey, here's option A, here's option B, which one would you like? Right? It's so much easier to go through that, because then they're like, okay. And then it's like, all right, cash or credit.
Yeah, that's an either or, right?
Right?
So, and then that's the same thing with you also, if you can engage their senses. So,
Mm,
like with jewelry, it'd be like, well, how does that feel on you? You know, how does it make you feel? Looking in
yeah,
the mirror now, how does it make you feel? And
yeah,
it's like, wow, you just lit up. Your whole face is lit up. How
yeah.
does this make you feel? You know, if you're doing like a lotion, it's like, oh, how does this feel on your hands? What's the scent? How do you like the scent? You know, I mean,
Mhm.
what emotions, what thoughts do you have when with the scent? What are you thinking? Sometimes that makes a little, you know, because then it's like, oh, I'm thinking of the beach or I'm thinking of Hawaii, you know. Think about it. If you've
Right,
got like a coconut scented, you know, hand lotion, oh, it feels
right.
so luxurious or it feels silky. Oh, and it makes me think of Hawaii, you know. Well, now you're involving their emotions and their senses. And you're stacking yeses. It's just like
Mhm.
a, you know, easy peasy decision to purchase.
Ah, that is so good. So good. Oh my gosh. And, and I'm putting out this episode at the beginning of the year because this is when a lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of salespeople, direct sales, network marketing, and MLM people are looking at, what are my sales goals for this year? What do I want to accomplish? Well, how are you going to get to those sales goals except through learning better sales? So this is absolutely a phenomenal time for people to really begin focusing on, okay, how am I going to learn to be better? Because yes, if you go with the, sales as a numbers game
Oh,
mentality, yeah. For those of you who are listening, you did not get to see Lynn literally have a shiver go down her spine. Okay. Yes, it can be a numbers game, but that doesn't make it service and relationship, like we were talking about. And so you actually have a book that people can use to learn to get more clients. So tell us about the book.
yeah. So the Get More Clients book is really perfect if you really want to learn how to rapidly improve sustainable sales profits with 5 proven strategies. And one of the things is about how do you convert and close your clients and follow up. Follow up is so important. Now, and it doesn't matter what kind of sales you are. So in direct sales, remember, a no is a no for now. It's not a no forever.
Mhm.
Occasionally it is, but rarely. And so what you want to make sure is that you have a consistent, really strong follow-up process that makes
Mhm.
sense, you know, and you also want to create a shorter cycle. When you do that, that's going to that is going to increase your sales and your profits. And it's because you're giving your client a great journey. So when you
Mhm.
map the client journey so that you're checking in like, okay, they just got their product that would ship directly to them. You know, have you given it a try? Have you put that lotion on? Oh, wow. And are you visualizing Hawaii right now? And things like that, so that you're reinforcing that they made a great decision. And I'm so thrilled that you're happy with the product. And I'll be checking in with you in another week to see how everything's going with it. You know, there's different things you can do, right? And
Mhm.
then there's the hidden profits in your business are those warm introductions and referrals and how to capitalize on that. So you definitely want to go ahead and grab this ebook. It's really quite rich and it's going to give you, it's written, you know, more from that B2B perspective, but I want everyone to step out of and go, how do I apply this in my business? And how do I do it now? That's the
Yeah.
thing. Knowledge is only good when you apply it. We learn by doing. And maybe the first time you ask for a referral, you sort of stumble all over it, but you did it. And the
Mhm.
second time you're going to be better, and the third a lot better. And soon, you know, you're going to be doing it like a pro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one last thing that I want to point out to people, and then we'll talk about how they can get the book, is there's a really good time to ask for a referral. And one of the best times to ask for a referral is when they are gushing about your product,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I tell this to my clients all the time. I'm like, if you have someone gushing, that's the time to go, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're having an amazing experience with this. Who else do you know that might be interested in this, or who might want that product or that experience that you've had? It's the easiest time to
Yeah.
make that first request for a referral. So,
Yeah.
all
And
right.
remember the do me a favor. because they'll often say, I can't think of anybody.
Yeah.
But they will. As long as you say, well, will you do me a favor? When you think of somebody this afternoon, this week, or next week, you run into somebody in the grocery store, will you do me this favor? Will you get us on a 3-way phone call and introduce us? I mean, so you've turned that, no, I can't think of anybody, into now they're actively thinking of people for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how it performs.
Right. And it reminds me of like when somebody asks you, like, what do you do for fun? And your brain just goes completely blank, even though you have like 10 things that you usually do for fun. The same thing's going to happen if they've not been asked for a referral recently, they don't have their mental Rolodex. And I just dated myself.
No, yeah.
They don't have their mental Rolodex.
The deer in the headlights, So.
Right. Exactly. All right. So the Get More Clients book is available through a link, and we have the link in the show notes. So Badass Crew, I want to encourage you to go get this, and not only go download the ebook, but put time in your calendar to read it. Okay? Because again, you can't apply the information if you haven't read the information. So you've got to make sure you set yourself up for success in 2026. And that means go download the book, get the ebook from Lynn's website, then put time in your calendar to read the freaking book, because it does no good sitting in a folder on your computer.
Yeah. And then apply the knowledge. Take the first steps of doing it one thing at a time. There's 5 strategies. Do one at a time. And every one of them can easily be adapted to your market.
Perfect.
To direct sales and to your specific product or service. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't be sitting there going, does this apply to me? It's how does this apply to me? Right. Yep. Because it changes the way your brain will answer that question. Because does this apply to me is a yes or no. How does this apply to me? Your brain goes, oh, well, I think it works this way. And then there you go. Lynn, this has been such a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for being here, sharing your wisdom with my Badass Crew. I'm so, so thankful for you.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Jenny. It's been so fun. I love your stories too. And power to all the women riding Harleys. Yeah.
Exactly. Which will someday be me. That's one of my business goals, is get myself where we can go do the wind therapy every once in a while. So, all right, everybody, Badass Crew, please make sure if you learned something from today's episode, reach out to Lynn. We have her contact information in the show notes. Find her on your favorite social media platform and connect with Lynn, so that way you can send your thanks to her, because as we've talked about before, one of the highest vibration things you can do is share your gratitude. So if you learned something today, please reach out to her. Let her know what you learned. And Lynn, again, thank you for being here. Any last parting thoughts for the audience?
Yeah, no, sales, love it or hate it. You can't live without it.
Ooh, some people just connected with that. I love it. All right. And of course, Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned, because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast, so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.